What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and it's about time we talk about Boss 1-4 in Grand War. Now, once again, we are going to use our light team, but I've done a slight modification to this team. I'm actually going to focus more on magic, because this particular unit is weaker to magic. Actually, I won't say weaker, neutral to magic technically, but does have a strong defense against physical type units. Eyes and Bet being physical type units, they're obviously not going to be, and being AoE on top of that, really aren't going to be qualified to take this on. This would be a very, 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 very bad situation for those two. I'm going to use this team, however, because I feel like, well, A, my other light magic team is way too strong, and really is probably not indicative of what most people could build realistically. B, I want to show you once again that +2 units are just fine and will survive this, no questions asked. It really is not going to be a big deal for her. Now, the other thing you want to be aware of, the eyes that we're fighting is a Phantasma type, or ghost type, in other words. So you want to use someone that is a Phantasma killer, i.e. Light Haruhime, who is a Phantasma, or they call it ghost killer. But either way, Phantasma Ghost are interchangeable terminologies in this circumstance. So we're going to be doing all our special attacks with her. Also bearing in mind that while I would love to do OG Haruhime's SA, Eyes is eventually going to remove all of our buffs, and we'll have to rebuff all over again. So when that happens, life's going to suck a little bit. So basically what I'm going to do is SA with Light Haruhime as much as possible. So let's go ahead and continue with our main buff and debuff stacks. Same thing we always do. Build our units up. And she's going to SA now on turn 2, so we do need to be a little bit careful here. We want to make sure that we get basically debuffs out. I can go ahead and do single target with him. Yeah, there we go. We're going to go ahead and get all of our debuffs in play as often as possible. She's going to SA here now. I said turn 2. It's actually technically the beginning of turn 3, but whatever. It's between turns 2 and 3. Now, you will notice that Eyes really doesn't have any defenses up or anything like that, but even with this SA, she's just going to brush it off. It really is no big deal. Like I said, this the Eyes foe is really not a threat to these units. You can easily take this on without a whole lot of concern. Okay? Now, on this turn, we're going to have to go basically rebuild our buff stack. I'm going to continue Cicada Shell with Light Haruhime, only because we need to get rid of that strength buff. That does mean that before I can do my SA on turn 4, I really honestly am going to have to buff Haruhime again. You know what? We'll be fine. We'll be fine for 2 turns with her strength buff. What is her strength buff? 20%. I think we'll be okay. I think ultimately she's not going to SA us in the meantime, so let's go ahead and just do our buff stack and see where we get. Now, the main thing here is going to be, see, damage reduction, attack all targets plus, so that removes, yeah, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. So we're going to go ahead and just do general buff stacks. Lego. Now, she doesn't remove the debuffs, and she is going to hurt. The other thing that to bear in mind, she does stun, which can be a pain, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't put stun anklets on either Bet or Eyes just because they're not really there for that purpose. They're just kind of there to build SA and do a couple of debuffs. Other than that, they're really not serving that level of purpose. Now, the other thing I want to bear in mind here, let's see, light attack damage 60%. Yeah, 1 unit resist down. So let's see here. I believe we need to do Cicada Shell. So yes. So foe damage received type single target plus 20%. That's going to allow us to do a tiny bit more damage. So I do need to do this actually, which is going to remove her strength buff anyway. But I do need to do this before I SA. I completely forgot about that. So that is going to become part of our stack. So that means turn 5 is the soonest I can reasonably special attack. Reasonably, I say. All right. Perfect. So we're going to SA on this turn. Everybody else is doing their single target attacks and or, in the case of Haruhime, buff and debuff replication along with the healing. So we should be good here. This should represent the maximum amount of damage that we can reasonably produce with this team. And remember, she's max limit broken, but B, she's a Phantasma killer, so she's going to get a little extra damage. I won't lie, I expected a tiny bit more than that. I expected more than that. Maybe I'm expecting too much, but I did expect more than that. Either way, there we go. Oh, you know what? I think we were debuffed too, so that might have been it. We were actually debuffed at the time. So let's go ahead and do another one. Boom. Plus, I don't think the 80% light actually is... the 80% light actually isn't present on that turn, so we have to do it on this turn. Debuffs are gone. Let's do it again. 2 in a row. Why not? She doesn't remove anything. There's really no deficit, so the more often we can SA, the better. Now, like I said, the one thing we do got to be careful of here, Eyes does eventually remove buffs, so when that happens, we have to be diligent. We have to watch our icons here and make sure that that is not the case. 168, once again, I was hoping for a tiny bit more than that, but it is what it is. If you want to see basically where Eyes is at this point, because we've debuffed Magic, Magic is down 20%. We could actually debuff Magic further. I haven't done that. We would probably get closer to 2.1 million if I had actually debuffed Magic a little bit further. But I haven't actually built that into this team because it was predominantly a physical team last time we did it. So we could actually get more damage out than that. Light, whenever this comes back, thank you. Light is actually down 140%, which is really nice. That's why I say you've really got to use a light team here. You could get away with Thunder, no questions asked, because Thunder is down 50%, but I really feel like light is the correct choice in the situation. So here we go. Let's go back and do Mayfly and build up another SA stack. Now, once again, paying close attention to our buffs down here. I forget which turn she removes those buffs on, but I think it's on this SA, so... we'll probably have to do another buff stack after this. Boom. Boom. All right. And once again, we're not really worried. It didn't do much to us. Now, this is again... so we do have to rebuff everything. And do note here that... that Eyes did buff her strength. But I'm just going to kind of fight through it only because I want to try to get SAs out a little bit faster. Sorry, my HDMI is freaking out. I have a new dongle on order, guys. I know you guys have been griping about that for a while. New dongle is on order. It should be here in a couple of days. Just had to find the right one that had the right reviews. So we'll no longer have that cutting in and out issue. But I really don't want to redo this run because this run's actually working out fairly well. Or as well as you can kind of surmise here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do Cicada Shell one more time. Remove that strength buff so we're not bothered by it. And next turn we are going to do yet another SA. Now turn 9 would be the optimal time to actually kill her, because then that would give us the Escalier. But once again, we haven't debuffed Magic enough, and it is not a team built for that purpose. So I don't have to tell you. 1.46, 1.48 actually that time. We would have gotten hit. We would have hit her a little bit harder, but once again, you know, we got that 80% buff that's only applied after the SA. So this next hit, which should be next turn, I hope, should actually hit for the full amount. Now, once again, if you have Light Haruhime only at +2 or +3, you're going to be struggling to get 1 million out of her. Well, no, take that back, because you probably honestly should have an adventurer that debuffs Magic, which I do not have on my team. If you do, you probably could start seeing numbers closer to what I've got. It is a phenomenal situation there. All right, so this sucks. We've got to go ahead and buff all over again. It is what it is. But she's on the brink of death. All right. Now, Eyes was hurt a little bit there, but that's only because we're kind of ignoring the... honestly, we're just kind of ignoring the strength buff for now. So if you wanted to play a little bit safer, you could use Haruhime or whoever you've got, honestly. It doesn't have to be Haruhime necessarily, but you could use somebody to remove that strength buff and you'd be in a very good spot. Anya, the New Year's Anya from last year, definitely could do a great job of that. You'd be in great shape with her. I know she's a physical unit, but throwing her on this team would be a very wise decision. frankly, and then if you have the most recent light Lena, she'd be a great one too to fight alongside. So basically, like, I'll show you the team that I showed you guys the team yesterday, but I'll show you once again the team that I built that actually S-cleared this and laughed at it. Boom. But more to the point, we really didn't have any major problems, and the one problem we did have, I kind of created, so it's really not that big of a deal. But Boss 1-4, optimally, if you could build this team, you'll laugh at this event. But once again, this is my max limit broken team, and yes, they beat it in like, I think 6 or 7 turns. It was ridiculous. If you could build a slightly better team, or I say, if you could build this team, but your units are only like +1, +2, you'll still be fine. This team will crush this event, and I'd even say at +2 or +3, you might even be able to squeak out an S-clear, though you'd be really, really, really hard-pressed to do that. Either way, my whole point in using this team is to show you that +2 units really don't have any problems. Notice she's not even max ascended. She's only 3-star ascended, which frankly, your units should be 3-star ascended minimum. We get enough ascension fauna, that shouldn't be a problem. And if you're having problems surviving and your units are not ascended, and even if you didn't buy them or didn't summon on them during the ascension period, it probably is worthwhile if you're having survivability problems to go ahead and spend the 5 hero lights and the ascension fauna to get them up to 3 stars minimum. I wouldn't go further than that, honestly, unless they're max limit broken, but that's going to give them a little bit more health that they can definitely survive with. Case in point, if you want to see a concrete example, specifically that eyes that I'm using. Let's go find her. And she's right, where is she at? She's right here, okay? So at +2, she has, what, 1800 HP. That's not great. That's not great, but if I 3-star ascend her, now we've got about 500 HP more. And while 500 HP isn't the end of the world, it will help out. The other thing you could do is if you're still having problems with survivability, and frankly, at that point, you saw my units. My units were laughing at it. You should debuff and make sure that everything, like the incoming damage, is definitely basically reduced. You know, your Ardys, your Galamuses, they can reduce incoming damage. Haruhime will reduce outgoing damage from your opponent. You know, she debuffs from 40%. The Otaro we got during the anniversary, he debuffs 45%. So there are those options. The other thing you can do is you can go to the blacksmith here, and if you've run Record Buster enough times, there are weapons. We have new weapons that I haven't crafted yet. We'll have to go do that. There are weapons you can craft. Let me go down here and see if I can find one. Wherever they are. Well, the Behemoth Sword is one of them, but that's not one most people could craft. Where the heck is it? Apparently I've got some weapons to craft. Oh, good lord, don't pay attention. There we are, glorious. So, glorious weapons, you could use Buster Badges to actually craft, and when you do, you can get up to, and I emphasize up to, 500 HP. On average, I see 200 to 300 HP. That's really all this weapon does, is it takes some of the damage away, takes some of the damage away, but adds some HP back to your unit. If you're having survivability problems, this will take a little bit longer to kill your foe, but in turn, your unit might have a greater probability of surviving. So if you're having some survivability problems, consider this. Those are definite options for all your units, but hopefully you guys can see by now, really, these are not very tough fights. I'll be back with 1-5 here, hopefully later on tonight. I keep saying that, and my schedule keeps changing drastically, and I apologize for that, but I'm going to try to get these out for you guys as quickly as possible. I'll be back at you guys in a little bit with more Danmachi later this evening.